1479 DR. In the Forgotten Realms Campaign Guide 2008, we can see the following regarding Bane. Bane also seeks lordship over other deities, and he has killed and absorbed the essence and followers of numerous divine beings. He has drawn others into his command, including the goblin deities Maglubiet and Hurugek, and his consort, the twisted goddess, Leviatar. These gods will come in handy. Maglubiet is the god of goblins and hobgoblins, whereas Hurugek is the god of bugbears, and Leviatar, as the goddess of pain, is this weirdo's goddess. You'll notice that many of the goblins are actually wearing Dead 3 symbolism, and this bugbear specifically is wearing a symbol of Bane from 4th edition, which is the talon you can see on his chest. Wait, that helmet on the goblin's belt looks sort of familiar. Bane has been reincarnated for some time now after sacrificing his son, Yaktu Zvim, in 1372 DR. Bane came back in a similar fashion to how Baal did, but a lot earlier and arguably more efficiently. 1482 DR. Baal is reincarnated when the last of the Ballspawn die. This is detailed in the D&D Next adventure, Murder in Baldur's Gate. 1487 DR. Merkel is back during the Second Sundering. No specific reason is given, but hey, the Dead 3 are back in business, and they all meet up to discuss what's next. Although Bane is the one leading this conversation, as we can see in Descent into Avernus, he is described as follows. He is the mastermind of the Dead 3, the one whose ambitions drive the group's efforts. 1489 DR. Darkhold becomes the main headquarters of the Zentarim. A Dark Knight called Perigost is in charge of the Zentarim, and although there was mention of him being a Cyric worshipper in 3rd edition, there appears to be no mention of this in 5th. Cyric is currently locked up in the Supreme Throne for 1000 years, so it may be safe to assume that Bane has got back into the Zentarim, which traditionally worship the god of tyranny. According to the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, there is also a beholder high up in the ranks of the Zentarim, which in 1989's Hall of Heroes was described as being friendly towards Bane's priests. So, the cult of the Absolute is starting to get in full swing, started by the Dead 3. You've got Bane controlling Maglubiet, Hurugek and Leviatar, giving him access to their worshippers. The Zentarim are supplying the cult with various supplies. They've even set up a cache in the Underdark with easy access to the Goblin camp to offload these supplies, and close enough to the Ebon Lake to ship things off to the Absolute base across the water. But wait, in Descent into Avernus, the Dead 3 are just described as quasi-divine beings. Let's take a look at what the Dungeon Master's Guide says about quasi-deities. Quasi-deities have a divine origin, but they don't hear or answer prayers, grant spells to clerics, or control aspects of mortal life. They are still immensely powerful beings, and in theory they could ascend to godhood if they amassed enough worshippers. Maybe we now have a purpose to the cult of the Absolute. Are they trying to trick the system? Okay, let's rewind a bit, well, more than a bit, to the year minus 2872 DR. The Drow city of Sharmouth has an unusual amount of males born, causing an imbalance and the traditional Lolth worshipping society to weaken. Males become more dominant than females in the city. Fast forward to 1492, and we can see that Drow from Sharmouth are indeed working for the cult of the Absolute.
From Sharmouth, before the Absolute.
In fact, Drow in general are enjoying a far higher station than that of the goblins, who seem in fear of them and treat them as superiors, whether you are a true soul or not.
Look, your lordship.
I ain't worth your attention. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Drow.
What?
Get!
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was talking to.
Thought you, Drow, had already gone off to the tower.
What this tells me is that the Drow are undoubtedly more important than that of the goblins, who I believe will be tossed aside in the future. The step to recruiting Drow from Sharmouth would not have been that great, given that the Zentarim stronghold of Darkhold is situated very close to it. If we jump to 1383 DR, we can see in Drizzt Guide to the Underdark that within days of the destruction of Zhentil Keep, Sememon dispatched emissaries to negotiate a trade accord between the Drow Wizards of Sharmouth and the Zentarim of Darkhold. Yes, I said the destruction of Zhentil Keep, this was done by the Shadowvar, Netherese who were wielders of Shah's shadow magic. Let's jump back close to the present day in 1489 DR, where in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide it states that although the Zhentil Keep is a former stronghold of the Zentarim, the Black Network shows occasional interest in restoring it, implying that they have gained control of it once more from the Shadowvar, likely due to the defeat of Telemont Tantul. 1492 DR. In Descent into Avernus, Dead 3 cultists are running rampant in Baldur's Gate. They are being funded by the Van Tamper family to cause chaos in the city, but do they have more of a targeted goal? Yes, quite possibly. They have captured Klim Jarzo, a member of the struggling Jarzo trading costa that operate in the Western Heartlands. The Jarzos can't afford the ransom, and this final bit of bad business will surely bankrupt them, leaving the Zentarim available to expand their mercantile operation more in the region.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich!
All in the same year, Elturel is dragged into the Nine Hells, but it is saved and by a group of adventurers led by none other than Minsk in Infernal Tides. So far, it's the Bane show. The cult is made up of the former followers of gods that he had dominated/made his consort, and the Absolute is using the Zentarim to provide them with supplies. At some point along the way, maybe decades before the present year 1492, or maybe only a little bit before, the Dead 3 might have started down some kind of road with the Illithids, possibly the Illithids of Arundel, that under a serene circle appear to provide the mental control associated with the Absolute. They are the vessel to which Bane sails his plan upon. The Illithids allow the Dead 3 to utilise their tadpoles because in the future, the Illithids can use their technology of rapid ceremorphosis to turn all those true souls into mind flayers. By that stage, the Dead 3 would have already achieved their goal of taking over Baldur's Gate and possibly even achieving full divinity once more. We know that the Mind Flayers are also likely present at Moonrise Towers when we reach into the True Soul Noel's mind, and it tells us this.
You see Drow and goblins restraining her, a Mind Flayer reaching out, and then the voice, bringing order. Eating this meat was forbidden, but it would lead her to a feast.
But yet, Dror Ragzlin seems to have no idea that the Mind Flayers are involved, showing that there is some disconnect between what happens out in the Goblin camp and what happens at Moonrise Towers.
Found the squiddy near that tentacle ship. Absolute wants to know who killed it and ran off.
How the tadpoles have the technology to rapidly go through ceremorphosis, I don't know. Perhaps Sharmuth has provided technology given their proximity to Netherese caverns, or as we could see in Dragon Magazine in June 2020, it could be something to do with Ion Stones. As the creative lead of D&D Dice Adventures, Terry Redfield, says the following. D&D Dice Adventures also has connective tissue to our other Dungeons & Dragons games. You'll see characters such as Minsk and Boo, Khalid and Dynahair from the Baldur's Gate series of video games. The upcoming Baldur's Gate 3 video game features a storyline about Mind Flayers using Illithid tadpoles to create advanced soldiers, and our use of Iron Stones shows where that tech came from. Are these advanced soldiers the ones that are being utilised by the Dead 3 for an invasion of Baldur's Gate, prior to them all being rapidly transformed into Mind Flayers? The final piece takes place in the present, 1492, and we experience this in-game when Ulder Ravengard is taken from Joaquin's Rest. Why does the Cult of the Absolute require Ulder Ravengard? Well, he is possibly the most important person in Baldur's Gate, the top duke and in charge of the Flaming Fist. If he is implanted with a tadpole at Moonrise and made into a true soul, then the Absolute would have the most powerful man in Baldur's Gate in their pocket, whereby other members of the Flaming Fist could be taken and implanted, leading us to this. Okay, thanks for watching guys. Many of these theories of mine have been in individual videos, but I thought it would be good to see it in a dated timeline in one video, so I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be watching the Panel from Hell 2 on the 17th, and we'll see whether anything significant is announced. I'll be keeping an eagle eye out for any relevant lore, and also any new information that totally negates all of my theories. See you next time, bye!